Thanks for jumping on, guys. We're here with Stuart Watkins. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Is there a bit of an accent I can sense there? It sounds like kind of
What do
Canadian-ish,
you?
American. I don't know.
Yeah, a bit of that. I spent a lot of my 20s in Canada, and then the last like 8 years, a lot in California and teaching over there. I was doing a lot of PT in Canada, and then teaching, and then that segued into teaching yoga, and people just could not understand me, literally. And I just had to kind of slow down a bit and draw out the dialogue a bit. It was quite interesting.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the Australian lingo is pretty profound. I
Yeah.
was living in America for a while, and they were like, a lot of people come up to me and be like, "Oh my God, you're Australian!" They're the first Australian they've ever met, which was
Right.
completely wild to me at the time. But
Yeah.
Stuart, if we met you at a dinner party, how would you introduce yourself? Your brother would say you're a yogi sensation, but how would you introduce yourself?
I have a bit of fun with that sometimes, actually. Like when people ask, like, what do you do? Because I do a lot of different things. So I have a bit of fun with that. But I mean, you could wrap me up as a yoga teacher, but it sometimes is a fun and a bit of a scallywag of an answer. But that's what I do with most of my time. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Where do you teach?
All around the place, but mainly right here where I am right now, out of home.
Virtually.
Yeah, no. Well, that and physically out of this little studio downstairs at my house. So I mainly do one-on-ones with yoga,
Yep.
which is kind of carried on through from the PT days, and
Yep.
then I go around and teach a Saturday morning class out at Center Space, and then like once a month is more of a like longer format workshop style class.
Okay, awesome. So your brother can give me a interesting definition of what yoga means to you. Can you run us through that now before I get into the journey aspect and how you got here?
Yeah. So there's a common perception that yoga is like stretching, essentially.
Hmm.
And I mean, that's like a one percentile of it all. So for me, it is a state of our being, it's really being present and in our heart and just really rocking it from our true nature, that it's a state of being, an awake, present, mindful, heartful state of being.
So yoga isn't a thing or a practice, it is a state of mind,
Essentially, yeah. I mean,
essentially.
there's a whole panoply of different methods to
It's
do
my,
with
my grunt
yoga.
version of yoga.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's where my book kind of got inspired from, actually, was shifting from just focusing on doing yoga, which is pretty fucking common, to then, okay, what now? Like being yoga, which is essentially just being who we truly are.
Deep.
Mm.
And since we're right there, let's take us through to the journey. So I know you were in Canada doing the PT thing, training some
Hmm.
peoples, and now we are in this yogi spot. What happened in the middle and how did we
Mm.
get there?
Right. Yeah, it's quite interesting reflecting back because it was a profound time. It was a really powerful time. So I was working a shitload in Toronto, in Canada, and my career as a personal trainer was just peaking and was really doing great. But I kept burning out. I was drinking way too much coffee. I was enjoying the lifestyle, but um, I don't know if you've seen it in the PT scene, like work hard, play hard. So like
Yeah.
I was working a lot from pre-sunrise to deep into the night, just lots of clients and lots of coffee, but also partying pretty hard as well. And it caught up with me. And over those years as well, I was just observing a lot of gaps in people's wellness. I was seeing a lot of that, a lot of working hard, playing hard, which is great. A lot of just grinding and people getting stronger and fitter, seemingly, but they were burning out as well. And so was I. And I was just seeing all these gaps, which got me curious as to like, how can we go deeper? How can we make this more holistic. And I just got curious about yoga, and luckily a great teacher popped up on my radar, and she just blew my mind open, blew my heart open. And I luckily had a really great first yoga class, which some people do, some people don't. Thankfully, I had a great experience and just felt so grounded and so euphoric and just the best I'd ever felt. And it had me hooked. And from that moment, I was just studying it. I was traveling to do as many courses as I could and just became obsessed, really. And gradually over the years, as I got more certified as a teacher, gradually the PT thing just organically transformed into mainly teaching yoga and mainly practicing yoga.
So how much coffee were you drinking a day to get to that bad?
Oh man, a lot. Like in Canada, those tall, like either Starbucks or big Timmy Hortons in Canada.
Yeah.
And so those tall ones, at least 5 of them, huh?
Yeah, that's a lot of coffee. So I have a similar story. We started at 4 a.m. when I was working in America at college, and I'd have 2 pots of coffee, put stevia in it, and literally just like put ice in it, scull it, and then I'd have 2 whole pots before I started. Came back to Perth, and my doctor was like, "You got adrenal fatigue, no coffee for 8 months," and I was like, "Oh fuck." So
Yeah, that's what happened to me,
that's
man.
when I went cold turkey. It was brutal, but
Yeah.
similar journey. It's quite funny.
Mm-hmm.
So elaborate on so I believe you went to India and you did some yogi stuff there. How was that? And just run us through the experience, because I know India is one of those places where everyone looks at and they're like, fuck, that would be wild to go there. But obviously, as you've been there.
It was amazing, man. And again, became pretty obsessed. I tried to get back there whenever I could. But the first trip in 2008, again, just everything blown open, heart open, mind open, just. But it was intense as well. You know, I got really sick. The immersion I was on, a 5-week yoga teacher training, was really intensive. Just practicing many hours a day, studying deep. The diet was very clean, and it was a vegetarian diet, which at that time I wasn't used to at all. So I think I was going through a lot of physical, like shedding, a lot of detox. It was a deep emotional and psychological, like refragmenting, and I just it completely transformed me once again, like that trip. And I came back to Perth at that time, and yeah, it just kept taking me deeper and deeper down this path of yoga. And so many profound things happened in that 5 weeks that I couldn't wait to get back and just dive in again. So every few months I would get back at that time to either Bali or India. But in particular, this India trip, just it completely changed me for the better, I think.
Yeah. So quite a free thinker, spiritual kind of guy. I would say I am a little bit as well, not to quite the same extent as you. Sometimes my family look at me like I'm an alien with some of the things I'm doing. So how was like your loved ones' perceptions of this, and your friends and family? How did they take the whole transformation from, meathead gym guy, smashing coffees, partying hard, to yogi?
They're kind of used to it, I think. Like for one, at that point, I felt so good that I actually didn't notice it, to be honest. But reflecting back, I can recall, like, especially old mates, it seemed strange to them.
Yeah.
And I think they thought that I was just going through another phase.
Yeah.
And, like the big shift prior to that was probably when I was 15, going from like real grunge, just grunge / raving, just hard as a teenager, to into like health and fitness. That was the beginning, and it was a radical shift. So that happened again when I went from I dropped a lot of, I just thinned out big time. I had a lot more muscle mass and just thinned out because I wasn't doing as much strength training and just yoga and eating a lot less. And so that, like physically, everything had changed.
Yeah.
So I think there was a bit of concern, but I think for the most part, people that knew me well could tell I was happy.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like I was going down a deep, dark, like shit rabbit hole. Like
Could be worse addictions.
Could be worse. So I was happy.
Yeah.
I was healthy. I was doing what I loved, and I think over the years, of people witnessing that I was just in my purpose and feeling really good and just doing good stuff, now they come to classes, whereas before it was like, what's he doing? Like, really,
yeah.
it would have looked strange, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool insight. We've definitely, a lot of us have been through that path as well. So what is the number one for you most overlooked practice in health and wellness at the moment?
Well, it's changing. It's happening more. But so what I would see back in the day was, stressing out the system, which we want to do. A good amount of stress is a good thing. Yep. But then lack of stretch down, lack of the mindfulness in like winding down. But I'm seeing more of that now, which is great. I don't think I'm in it enough to really point out some missing pieces. I just kind of dip in every now and then. I'd have to fully immerse to have a good look. Yeah. But in a more peripheral observation, what do you think?
Well, I guess what you're saying is the yin and yang concept, so the stress and the relax phase of training. I don't know, because after watching the Social Dilemma documentary on Netflix, have you heard of it?
Oh yeah, we're about halfway through, and then we went down the.
So I'm like, all right, cool. So is what I'm seeing right now what someone else wants me to see, and is this my actual perception of what's going on, or is this someone else's perception catered towards a bot or whatever? So I'm like, cool, is the industry actually moving in this direction where we are for mindfulness, breath work, meditation, yoga, and then we are for smashing ourselves, strength training, Olympic lifting, powerlifting? Like, I know certainly that's me, but as a society of fitness enthusiasts, I'm not sure if we're heading down that path yet.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, a similar thing with the like Insta yogi. Are we doing what's true to ourselves, or what's going to get more likes and what's going to get more popularity? So, that's a whole game changer. I mean, when I was in the gym scene, there was no social media at that time, and that I'm sure has changed the game a bit. I mean, I did pop into a gym. I do get into gyms every now and then, and I see people on their phones so much. And I get, like, if you're doing true strength training, like you want a little bit of rest in between each set. But is that productive? Like sitting in this shitty posture on your phone? Most likely not. So I do see that, which is different.
Well, yeah, we're so attached to our phones these days. When I took my phone in for repair for an hour, I felt like I lost a leg. I was like, where is my leg gone? This phone was like an extension of my body. And now
that could be it, huh?
Yeah, I put on these damn timers to stop myself from social media and stuff. And then it's just frustrating that it's a whole other world. I have it as you probably understand, as like a small business entrepreneur. You kind of need social media, but then it is like the pure devil as well on the other side. So you've got to limit your use, but without it, business might not be as successful as it could be.
Yeah, it's a real discipline that I juggle with as well. I put a bit of a time limit on me as well with it, and just try to stay aware and discern if I'm getting sucked in, which I regularly do. It's a very addictive thing, and that observation, that could be a major thing, like that. Maybe like every now and then do a session without your phone and just see how you feel.
Yeah, I guess awareness precedes change. So if we're aware of what's going on, then obviously consciously or subconsciously we're making an effort away from it. So just segueing into our next topic. So what do you wish you knew when you started the journey? What is like one of the main things you wish you knew when you started the journey? I leave that very open-ended because I want to
No,
see
that's
where this
great.
takes you.
It gets me thinking that there could be a bit of a gap. Because, like, when did the journey begin? I mean, that's the first question. When did the journey begin? Because for me, it started pretty young and, like, without me realizing it, through drugs, actually, like intense
Yeah.
partying, and I just loved raving, and I would go hard with drugs and have big peak experiences, and that was actually the start of my journey, was nearly killing myself with drugs and then getting inspired to get healthy and fit through that. So it's like, back then, it would have been good to be more aware of what I was doing to my body. At the same time, it was a total blessing. It totally shook me to my core and woke me up big time. So each of these, like, challenges that have come have been shit, but, like, perfect as well. So each of those times where I look back, like, oh, I wish I knew more, or I wish I had better role models or better leaders and guidance. But at the same time, the mystery of it, like, it was all perfect, you know?
Mm.
Um, so I guess just paying more attention to each of those teachings that keep coming up.
Yep.
But that's about it, what comes to me, huh?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I have the pleasure of coaching a lot of people in their early 20s, and they seek advice, and I'm kind of just like, I think you got to just go with the flow here and just take the lessons and learn the learnings and see what
Mm-hmm.
you need to see, feel what you need to feel, and hear what you need to hear. And then
Yeah,
if you don't learn from that, then that's your mistake and you'll never grow. But yeah, it's an interesting one, I
it
guess.
is, because the growth and development, it's so personal,
Mm,
and it's great to have peers and conversation, and it's great, all these podcasts and just awesome conversations. But it's amazing what will land in one's awareness and what won't.
yeah.
And you can't fake that. I mean, we can try to talk the talk, which is great,
Mm.
but it's just through our journey that we grow and develop, and that's interesting to each individual, huh?
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of the journey, talk us through, like, writing a book's a big thing. How did this book come about and what are the main concepts of it? It's being yoga, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. It again happened pretty naturally, but as I look back to that stage, it was quite interesting. I was in a bit of a turbocharged mode. I was a father to a 1 year old at that time, and we were taking care of my wife's parents who were very, very unwell. And, like, life was very full. At the same time, like, looking back, it seems strange that I had time to write the book, actually, but I was just feeling it come through me so strongly, and there was a lot of inspiration and a lot of creativity. And so each night I'd put the girls to bed and just stay up all night writing and meditating and writing. Like, wasn't getting much sleep at the time because of all this creative energy that was coming through. And a big inspiration of it was really embracing life as the practice. And at that time, life had changed a lot with a young baby and taking care of these very ill elders. And it just, I was really feeling the kind of rubber meet the road, so to speak. I was feeling, okay, like, the yoga is right now with this person dying in front of our own eyes. Shit, this yoga's right now with this young baby that needs me to be present for them. And I was just feeling real breakthroughs in, okay, you don't even need to roll your mat out and have sexy stretchy pants on to practice yoga. It's in this moment, like, just pay attention. And yeah, just through that was a whole lot of just practical ways to be present, really. So through breath work, through finding your optimum nutrition, through like, again, everyone's got their own unique way. So it was really an uncovering of, okay, well, how can we uncover our own unique way and be true to that and pay attention to it and be present. So it's a real kind of guidebook through how can we uncover that? How can we find our deepest truth and be that? And that's what it is to me. And it was an interesting journey. It was charged like few years really, but this particular year was supercharged, and I didn't sleep much and just went on a really interesting journey with it.
So it's done now. So the process was, so you were being yoga to right being yoga.
Yeah, that's it, man. And I guess through it, it was showing me where I wasn't being it, and
Yeah.
that's confronting, you know. And that's part of the work. And just keep shining the light into those places, and just keep growing.
Yeah. So Stuart, what are you curious about right now?
I'm curious about where we're going as humanity. You know, like
Uh,
we normally spend a lot of time in the States, and
this is going to be deep. I can tell.
it's full on, you know. And my
Yeah.
wife and I often just, because I mean we're meant to be there right now, and just looking at what's happening in particular over there. I think here in Perth we can easily just kind of be here, which is great, but get a bit closed off to how
Well,
much
yeah.
craziness is going on in the world right now. So it's beautiful. I'm so grateful to be here, and like it feels like a little pocket of paradise right now in the world, which I'm so grateful for. At the same time, just kind of tuning into friends in the States and in Mexico and all around the world, like there's a lot of shit going on right now. So I'm really trying to stay like aware of it all, at the same time not get obsessed, because I know how much of a rabbit hole that is to become obsessed with, I mean, multiple conspiracy theories and all different ways of seeing what's going on in the world, and just try to stay aware. And you know, especially having young kids, like what kind of world are we creating for our kids, you
Yeah.
know? So staying aware, at the same time noticing if I'm getting obsessed, and yeah, trying to pave as good a world for these young kids entering into it.
Mm.
So yeah, we watched a bit of The Social Dilemma as well. I haven't finished it off yet. So that's interesting.
Mm.
That's interesting where we're going.
But then my inner conspiracist is like, has someone
Right.
made this thing to make us aware of this? Anyway, I could get so deep in these rabbit holes. I've been down a few, and
Yeah.
then I've got to check myself. But after
Mhm.
being in America and living there for so long, that yeah, like it's a different world. Like half the people are like, this place was founded on constitutions and it is the way it is, and this is fucking amazing. And then the other side are like, this is dumb as fuck, and I can't believe this is happening. And then there could be
Mhm.
some serious shit going on with the election coming up soon.
Yeah, it feels on the verge of a civil war for real. And yeah, there's a lot of upheaval. There's a lot of healing, you know, with this piece of racism, which we've got a lot of work to do here as well, and just a lot of shit that maybe wasn't getting talked about is just we're inundated with it, and with everyone having the phone in their hand, everyone
Yeah.
can be a broadcaster of it, and you can create your own kind of echo chambers, and it's a full-on time in that regard, in regards to like technology and all that. But my practice right now, my passion and practice is to just keep balancing it all, and stay in tune with what's happening. At the same time, like all we have is like this moment, like right
Mm.
now, right here. So to just keep coming back to that.
I appreciate you taking the time in this moment with us. What is something that people misunderstand about you, Stu?
Good questions, actually. I got to think about that because I don't give it much attention, to be honest.
Yeah.
Misunderstand. Huh. It's a great question.
That's cool.
Yeah. Got to take a, you might need to edit out this big gap.
No, that's fine.
Misunderstand.
People don't.
I,
It's good that I've stumped you.
I think there's a common assumption with yogis and yoga teachers to put them on a bit of a pedestal, that they've got their life fully together, and kind of, again, especially with social media, it's so tempting to portray this kind of perfect life. And like, I'm always happy and always positive. So that may be misunderstood, that I'm always happy and always positive and always being yoga.
Yeah.
But that's not true, you know. There's stress, there's negativity, there's all of that, you know. It's all very human. I think that could get misunderstood, especially with like younger students and that haven't been in the yoga scene for very long. They might think of this this quest of perfection. Yet, you know, there's all the quirks and all the flaws that everyone has, you know.
Yeah.
So
well, it's not an overnight process.
Yeah.
Same with anything.
Yeah.
I guess same with me. People would be like, "Oh, that dude's fucking strong. Like he must be always strong and smashing it all the time." But the truth is, it's like it's rare. Like the Instagram moments are small. You know, what goes into all the other stuff is painstaking and boring.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So, what makes you feel inspired at the moment, Stuart?
My kids, my family. I'm very lucky, very grateful that inspires me to, again, spread goodness through the world, be as good a man as I can be, as good a teacher as I can be, and just try to be a kind, good person. So my kids, my family, my teachers. Luckily, I've had great teachers, and they inspire me. And I've been drawn to more of these elder teachers that just have been doing it for not just a few years, but decades, you know, and what wisdom and inspiration can they share. So I've been diving deep in with these elder teachers and just loving it.
Do they still have it, like yoga-wise? Are they still flexible and
well,
and stuff?
Well, that's the thing. I guess the teachers I'm speaking of, it's transitioned more into rather than the flexibility piece, it's the mental piece.
Okay.
It's the mental piece. So my teachers such as Ram Das and Lama Surya Das, this crew that just went so deep, and as well physically, they pushed the physical piece, but now it's more of a wisdom piece and a heart-based piece. But I still dig the physicality. You know, it helps to be physically flexible and strong and functional physically, but it's not the major focus for me anymore.
Do you think all these concepts you're talking about, do you think they're easy to understand if you're in it? Like if you're doing yoga and you're practicing? Because obviously it's like someone that sits on the couch and watching Netflix every night. If you're talking about these concepts of yoga and being yoga and type of things, do you think it'd be easier to understand if you're in it, or it's easier to explain?
I think it's easier to be in it.
Yeah,
for sure. You know, it's easy to watch a doco and listen to a podcast and read a book and get it conceptually, you know, and then even listen to enough of it or watch enough of it that you can begin to talk it, which is great. But there's that shift, isn't there, from being able to talk the talk and think the thoughts, and that shift into really being it, and it's part of your life, and it's not mechanical, it's not just kind of babbling runoff. It's integrated into your life. I think there's a big difference.
I think I'm sitting here and I'm hearing what you're saying, and I love yoga and I've done yoga heaps, but by heaps I mean probably like 30 sessions in my life. I understand the concept of it, but I'm like, do I really understand the concept of it? Because I feel like you're at another level in another dimension to where my conception is of it.
Yeah, well, I guess that just happens over the years, you know, like, because when I look back to my first 30 classes, And what my understanding of it was then, it just keeps deepening and evolving and opening, because it is incredibly deep. We're exploring our consciousness, we're exploring the physical body, the subtle body, the emotional body. Like, it's really deep.
Mm.
And similar with like it's a common thought with like martial arts and like any skill, like to master it requires like 10,000 hours.
Yeah, quite a while.
So a similar thing,
Yeah.
so 30 classes, 30 hours, you'll
Yeah.
have a little bit of understanding. Then you get
Yeah.
to like 100 hours, 200 hours, 1,000 hours. Like you just keep going deeper,
Yeah, it builds. So there is this 3-hour immersion that I'm coming to for you guys soon with you and your brother. Can you tell us about that and how'd that whole thing come about? What made you guys want to work together, and just run us through that process.
Sure. I love it. Even just thinking about it gives me tingles. I mean, collaborating with my brother is just a dream come true. That's amazing. It's evolved over the years. So when he was studying physio and then just kind of starting out as a physio, he's a keen percussionist and drummer. So back in the early days, he spent countless hours. I mean, it's amazing the amount of long format classes, 3-hour classes. He's been on retreat with me, in which he was a part of the teachings and a part of the experience that we took people on, but from more of a periphery type experience, laying down the percussion, laying down the sounds. But he was in it. He was soaking it all up. And then as he got more confident as a physiotherapist and just him as a person, as he kept growing into that, he started teaching. And organically, just over the last couple of years, it just got him involved in the teacher role, which is great because it's just evolved over the years, and his approach to it complements it so perfectly. And he's definitely got a deeper knowledge of the body, which I love, because he makes it so intricate and deep, yet really accessible. I think it's made it more accessible to a broader array of people, not just yogis, but all kinds of people, which is great. So it's a multifaceted, it's a journey. It's a journey from stillness and inquiry, and really getting strong with intention. We bring in the cacao, which we love to bring in, which it just takes the focus and the bliss of the heart to another level. And then intelligent movement, where Cam and I kind of bounce off each other, which then segues into free flow movement, ecstatic dance, which we love to bring into the mix, which pushes a lot of people to their edge, actually. It's quite interesting. Like a lot of people used to, having a few drinks and then losing their inhibitions and dancing like crazy. But a lot of people get uncomfortable with it when they're not drunk off their face. So that's one of the reasons we brought in the dance piece, is it is very rich in like seeing where we get self-conscious and where we get judgmental and like, oh, that's how they're moving. I don't know how I'm going to move like that. And really letting it all go and just move to these incredible tunes. And that's like there's multiple peaks, but that's one of the peaks. And then it gets complemented nicely and just lay down for half an hour and just receive sound healing and nourishment. It feels like a really beautiful balance,
I'm excited for it. A couple of my clients went to the last one and they said the ecstatic dance was challenging. They were like, man, it was long and hard. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully we have that in next. But I remember, not the last one, the one before, one of my clients also told me you guys did eye gazing. So we do eye gazing on our training camp in Bali. But I call it Cry Day. So Cry Day is on the last day of a 7-day training camp. Basically, you got to sit across from someone, stare into their eyes, and tell them what you think of them after a 2-minute stare. So 2 minute stare, and then you got to tell them what you think of them. You both go, and then you change, and you go through every single person on the camp.
That's cool. I love it.
It's like an hour and a half journey. So most people never have had that many positive things said to them in their entire life, and to cop that all in 90 minutes is
that's cool.
A lot of people.
That's great.
So Stuart, is there anything I haven't asked you, but I should have asked you?
No, that's been thorough, man. That's been great. It's been great chatting, and you're a great interviewer. You pick some good questions.
Yeah, I have to pick some segues there where I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
I get to this next bit. So, if you had to sit down for dinner with 3 people dead or alive, who would it be?
Great question. a very nostalgic one.
Yeah, I can see you going off on a journey.
Yeah, very nostalgic one. I was obsessed with Kurt Cobain as a kid and teenager, and just was obsessed with his music. And I would love to sit down with him. I would.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain. We got number 1, Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain, another musician. I'd love to sit down with Jimi Hendrix. Yep. All very nostalgic. And you know what? It's a strange one, but got to bring in. Even though I'm not a religious person or a Christian person, I'm actually a Jewish kid. I'd love to sit down with Jesus Christ. Bring him to the dinner table.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Who knows if he's real? That is the real question.
Yes, well, that would be a good revelation. That'd find that out.
We're going to lose some subscribers there. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
So, Stuart, how do people find you? What events do you have coming up? How do we find the book?
Sure. So you can go to stuartwatkins.org, and it's all there.
.org, very fancy.
Yeah, and .com's taken by...
Damn.
.com's taken by a bassist in the UK, and there's another Stuart Watkins, a magician, which is .com something or other. So I had to pick the org.
You're a magician of the body.
There we go. Yeah, so this event you're coming to, that's October 16th. You can find that on Instagram, Stuart_Watkins_.
Cool.
Yeah.
And they're the main 2. And the book?
Yeah. The book, yeah, that's on the website as well, and through Amazon.
Awesome. Stuart, it's been a fantastic 40 minutes chatting to you.
It's been so
thoroughly enjoyed that. Heaps of great questions and knowledge bombs. If you guys liked what you heard and you want to learn more about Stuart, please give him a follow on Instagram. And don't forget to screenshot this podcast and share it to your story. It would be great. Tag myself at Tim Frey and Stuart as well. Thanks, guys.